All right, football fans, welcome. We've got a massive night of action coming up. But we're not just here to throw out predictions. Nope. Tonight, we're diving into what really separates a wild guess from a truly informed call.
You know, it's the one question on everyone's mind before a match kicks off. But here's the thing. Getting your hands on reliable, verified team news, it's a huge challenge. And that's what we're digging into today. Where does that real information advantage come from?
So, here's the game plan. We'll kick off with the big-name clashes in England and Italy. Then, we'll get into what I like to call the pre-match intelligence gap. From there, we'll see where having verified news makes all the difference, take a whirlwind tour of the Cups, and then wrap up with the one big takeaway you need for tonight's games.
Okay, let's jump right in with those marquee matchups. We're talking about games that, on paper, look pretty straightforward. But trust me, there's a really interesting pattern hiding just beneath the surface.
First up, we've got Manchester City heading to Swansea in the EFL Cup. The prediction is a pretty clean 3-0 win for City. But here's our first clue. A quick look at the club's official site shows no injury bulletin whatsoever. So that tip, it's based entirely on form, not on who's actually fit and ready to play. And next, we have Wolves taking on Chelsea, tipped to be a tighter 2-1 win for the visitors. And what do you know? We're seeing the exact same pattern here. Chelsea's official channels totally silent on the injury front. We're basically forced to assume their key players are good to go, but that's all it is, an assumption.
Now let's hop over to Serie A, where Inter Milan are favorites to beat Fiorentina 2-1. And this is where the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Even for a major league match like this, no official injury reports from either club. This widespread lack of solid info, that's what we call the intel gap.
And this is the whole point, right? For so many of these games, predictions are being made in a kind of fog of uncertainty. Without official, verified information from the clubs, analysts are pretty much working with one hand tied behind their back. Let me show you a couple more really clear examples.
Over in France, we have Olympique de Marseille tipped to handle Angers 3-1. Looks like a pretty standard prediction, doesn't it? But what's really going on behind the scenes?
Well, here's that gap in action. No verified injury updates from either club's website. That 3-1 scoreline is based entirely on past results, completely ignoring the one thing that could change everything on the night. Who is actually available to play? It's a massive missing piece of the puzzle.
And this story isn't just in the Big Five leagues. We see the same thing in a huge top-of-the-table clash over in Norway. Bodø Glimt are favored 3-1 against SK Brann in what should be a brilliant match. But that information blackout continues.
And yep, you guessed it, a total lack of any official club-published injury news for either team. This isn't just a one-off thing, it's a fog of uncertainty that hangs over most predictions across Europe. But what happens when that fog finally clears?
So what happens when we do get our hands on that verified intel? Well, this is where things get really interesting. This is where you find a true information advantage.
Let's head back to Ligue 1. PSG are playing away at Lorient, and they're predicted to win 3-1. But unlike that Marseille game we just looked at, for this one, we have concrete, game-changing news.
And look at this! We have total clarity. PSG's official medical update confirms Fabien Ruiz is still out. And, just as important, their star wingback Achraf Hakimi is being rested. You combine that with Lorient missing key guys like Faye and Touré, and suddenly that 3-1 prediction isn't just a guess anymore, it's an informed analysis.
Now, for the absolute best example of this, let's look at Juventus versus Udinese in Italy. A 2-0 home win is the tip, but the real story behind this match is unbelievably dramatic, and it is all thanks to verified news.
Okay, first, the details on the pitch. Juventus have confirmed they'll be without their key defender, Gleison Bremer, and wingback Juan Cabal. Both are out with injuries. That alone is going to impact their entire defensive structure. But believe it or not, that's not even the biggest news.
And this is the bombshell. The club itself has confirmed a last-minute coaching change. Igor Tudor is out, and a caretaker manager is stepping in right before this game. This is a massive piece of verified intelligence that throws a huge layer of unpredictability and chaos into the mix. This, right here, is the ultimate information advantage.
Okay, just to show you how widespread this fog really is, let's do a super quick, rapid-fire tour of the domestic cup action happening tonight.
From Belgium to Hungary, the Czech Republic all the way to Bulgaria and Greece. The story for every single one of these cup ties is exactly the same.
No verifiable, official team news was published anywhere. And it just keeps going. It's the same deal in Moldova, in Turkey, and in Armenia. This fog of uncertainty, it's the default setting for most games, which means a lot of predictions are really just educated guesswork. So, let's bring this all together.
So, after that whirlwind tour of Europe, what is the one crucial point you need to take away from all of this? What's the bottom line?
We've looked at 17 different predictions tonight. 17. And out of all of those games, only a tiny handful had the solid, verified information you need to move beyond a simple guess.
And that brings us to our key concept, the information advantage. It is the edge you get by focusing only on verified official team news, things like injuries or, last-minute coaching changes. So before you lock in a prediction tonight, you have to ask yourself, am I just operating in the fog, or do I actually have the information advantage?
Which brings me to my final question for you. Armed with this idea of the information advantage, which of tonight's predictions are you the most confident in? And maybe more importantly, why? Think about where the information is solid and where it's still just a fog of uncertainty. Thanks for watching.